What is up, NFL fans, and welcome to another episode of the Legit Football NFL Podcast. I am, as we announced last week, I am your host now. We miss Brian McFadden. I cry myself to sleep every single night. I think that's going to be a thing until he comes back. So apologies to my neighbors for the loud sobbing through the walls. But I'm not crying right now because I have my partner in prime today. Again, I'm stealing that from Brian until he comes back. The new partners are the partners in prime until I'm back to being the partner in prime. But I have Jimmy Ray with me from NFL Stats on Twitter. What is up, Jimmy Ray? How are you?
What's going on, man? I'm doing great. I'm crying a little bit too. We can have our crying sessions together.
Little therapy,
Brian, but yeah, a little therapy. We'll go through it together, maybe with Anthony after the pod.
Thinking maybe we'll do a little maybe on air. Maybe we'll do 30-minute podcast, 30-minute cry sesh. What do you think?
Yeah, I think a little bit before, a little bit after.
Yes.
So we can kind of calm our nerves, and then afterwards we can take a little breath and be like, okay, we did it.
So we'll do 30 minutes crying, 5 minutes talking about football, 30 more minutes crying, wrap it up. Sound good?
That's perfect.
All joking aside, we have a fantastic show for you today. The main topic is juicy. It's sizzling and fantastic work by the boys coming up with this one, but we're doing our way too early award predictions for the 2023 NFL season, inspired by the rookie class. We're going to focus on OROY and DROY, but we're going to get to all of them. Fear not, just because, we're legit football. We always go the extra mile for our listeners. But Jimmy Ray, how does it sound when we start attacking these legit headlines?
Man, it sounds good. I'm excited for it. I kind of looked them over and I'm ready. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, I'm ready to start talking about it. Let's go.
All right, yo. Well, why don't we kick it off with quarterback Justin Herbert getting closer to 75%. Now, Justin Herbert underwent shoulder surgery in late January, and he has not thrown a pass since the Chargers playoff loss to the Jaguars. Apparently, the surgery has a 5 to 6 month recovery process, which means he may not be fully recovered until training camp, which is not an ideal timeline as they're implementing a new offense. Offense coordinator Kellen Moore is his first year, brand new scheme. Herbert is probably not going to rush his return, which I think is advisable given that he's a franchise quarterback and he's in the middle of contract negotiations. So they're looking at Easton Stick and 7th round rookie Max Duggan, who will be handling the workload in the meantime. Jimmy Ray, how do you feel about this?
I don't think people understand how big of an impact this might make on kind of the preseason preparation. I don't necessarily think that it's like a huge deal and like Justin Herbert's going to come into the season and be absolutely awful. I don't think that's the case, but I do think that like putting in a new offensive scheme, especially, and getting some new weapons, some new rookies, especially like Quentin Johnson coming in. It's going to
definitely disrupt the early part of Quentin Johnston's development with Herbert and the chemistry and all that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, every team, every season's a new team. That's why you always win the Super Bowl with that team, because there's going to be roster changes. So there's going to be a lot of roster changes with the Chargers, and you got to implement that offensive scheme. But I think Justin Herbert will be fine in the end. But I wouldn't be surprised if he get some maybe more preseason action as it gets closer, because if he hasn't thrown the ball this whole offseason, that's kind of tough.
Yeah, I mean, I on the legit headline video today, I was kind of reading it and I was like, wow, close to 75% is like he's far from recovered right now. Like Justin Herbert is not Justin Herbert right now. He hasn't thrown a pass in months. Yeah, if I'm a Chargers fan, I maybe have the slightest bit of concern, but he's a pro. And, he is considered by many to be a top 5 quarterback, many not including me, to be completely honest with you. I've always been a little cooler on Justin Herbert than consensus. And I just keep waiting. Like I watch as much football as anyone, and I just keep waiting for him to show me that he's special. I think he's good. I think he's above average, no doubt. But what are your thoughts on Herbert as a quarterback in general? Is he a top 5 to you?
He's definitely borderline top 5 if I had to do my rankings. I bet he'd be up there. I'm not sure. I don't think he'd be in the top 5, definitely top 10 right now. And I think you're probably in that same headspace. But I do think he's one of those guys that you can kind of rely on, which I think is beneficial. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he'll get top money. He's getting paid soon, correct? Yeah.
So he's going to get a bag.
He's going to get paid. Yeah, he's one of those guys that I mean, you're not going to do much better, and you definitely could do a lot worse. So I mean, I think with the right team around him, I could see him kind of pulling away. But that AFC is tough. That's
Me too.
very true.
To be clear, I do think he's a good quarterback, and I do think he will have the Chargers contending more often than not. But
Mm-hmm.
he's got to take another step, in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
I personally think Staley's holding him back. I've been thinking that his whole career. I've
Yeah.
been waiting for the departure of Staley to really evaluate Herbert, but we're getting that first chunk of his career is over. He's no longer a spring chicken. I mean, he's not old by any stretch, but
No.
you know, we're starting to get to that point in time where we need to see a more consistent, a more dialed in Justin Herbert, because it just feels like every year. I mean, dude, his fantasy finish last year was like atrocious. He like did not put up good stats last year. I don't know how that happened. You know, a lot of people would say that the Chargers offense is too Eckler centric. Again, I'm not one of those people. I love Eckler. I love targeting the running back, but this injury only complicates things. It only slows down the process. But that being said, Kellen Moore's a great coordinator.
Yep.
They did draft Dugan this year. He's a nice pick in the 7th round. I'm excited to see what Kellen Moore does for that offense. The new weapons, Johnston is a stud. I think maybe where they got him might have been a little bit of a reach, but I mean, if he ends up being an elite receiver, no one's going to care.
Right. And then, yeah, you're just looking at the AFC quarterbacks and you see Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson. I mean, there's so many top guys in the AFC, and now Aaron Rodgers is there too. I mean, I just named 5 guys right off the bat that you could definitely put in front of him. And that's one conference. Obviously, the NFC, it's kind of different there. But
yeah, I'd put Hurts over him from the NFC. But so, yeah, like I said, man, you originally thought fringe top 5. Are you maybe starting to get on my bandwagon? Maybe fringe top 10? Is that hater?
I think he's top 10. Maybe we'll have to do that as an episode.
I've been thinking that. That's a great idea, Jimmy Ray.
That'd be a pretty hot topic, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, NFL stats coming in with the heat early. That's what I'm talking about, man. My friends, I think it might be time for another legit headline. My friends, we have the Anthony Richardson is already showing chemistry with wide receiver Josh Downs. Now, this doesn't surprise me at all. Josh Downs is the type of receiver who's a quarterback's best friend. He gets open. He's a separator. Colts grabbed him in the 2nd round. He was described by the Athletics' Zach Kiefer as Richardson's favorite target during rookie minicamp. The 2nd round receiver displayed crafty route running and sure hands while working the middle of the field. I always thought Downs' profile was sort of like a Cole Beasley slot type player. Downs is expected to operate out of the slot with Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce starting on the outside. Not a bad trio of wide receivers, all young, all with high upsides. The 5'9", 171-pounder caught 94 passes for 1,029 yards and 11 touchdowns across 11 games for UNC in 2022. Richardson, who was not considered an accurate passer in college, reportedly completing around half his passes in team and individual drills thus far. Those are rookie numbers. You're gonna want to pump those numbers up.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited for Josh Downs, though. I feel like he could come in and be a good wide receiver 3 for us. I was watching the Colts draft YouTube video and stuff, and he just looks like a dog, man. I mean, he got that phone call. He was emotional, but I mean, he was straight faced, just like, let's get to work. And you saw I don't know if you saw, but they were throwing balls in the parking lot outside of the Colts complex.
I did see. That's so cool.
Man.
I love stuff like that.
Yeah,
Football guys.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're creating that chemistry. And whenever you're part of the same draft class, you kind of, it hits different, you know. Obviously, like Michael Pittman and Jonathan Taylor are there. They've kind of hit him up and stuff, but I feel like he'll be a good guy to lean on for Anthony Richardson. He just seems like that chemistry's there already.
Yeah, Colts are a sneaky team to watch in the AFC. I'm not necessarily sure they'll sniff the playoffs in their first year, but if Richardson can, start taking those rookie lumps, start putting the league together a little bit, let the game start slowing down for him, they're a sneaky team, Anthony. All right, Jimmy, I know that's your team. I know you're a huge Colts fan. So what are your thoughts on hearing a report like this? This just has to be music to your ears, right?
I mean, I'm ready to go. And I've been talking to people. I feel like, a rookie Anthony Richardson, or even like a bad Anthony Richardson, is 10 times better than an average Carson Wentz and average Matt Ryan, only because it's so much more exciting, whether or not he does great or whether or not he pans out at all. I mean, it's just having that rookie quarterback. We obviously never want to pick in the top 5, but when you do, and when we have a quarterback to pick. It's been a little while, so I'm pumped. Season tickets are gonna have to come my way at some point.
Oh, I was gonna say you
No,
already have
I have
them. Oh, dude, you gotta pull the trigger.
maybe I might.
Gotta do
We'll
it, man.
see. My
This is
cousin
the
wants
team to
to
do
see.
it for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I love Anthony Richardson. I think he's an awesome prospect. I'm super high on him in fantasy.
Mhm.
I mean, that's just a no-brainer. Running quarterbacks, just you got to just hammer them early in the draft. I mean, Richardson might be a value in fantasy because he does have, there are people who are saying he has bust potential. Who doesn't, right? Especially when you take him that high. I mean, the accuracy is going to be an issue if he doesn't get it straightened out. 50% in your first practice it's par for the course. Let's be real. I mean, Josh Allen was doing that up until his third year in the league. So I'm not one to soapbox about quarterback accuracy. I'm very much, okay with that taking its time and him taking his time to develop and work out those mechanics. But yeah, the fact that him and Josh Downs are clicking is, like I said, music to Colts fans' ears.
Yeah.
Jimmy, any other thoughts on this subject before we move on?
Yeah, in terms of dynasty, I mean, I feel like he's secured this Colts starting job. They're gonna give him some time, like a few years, 3, 4 years, 5 years, maybe. I mean, he has that 5th year option. So
Is he a
he'll be a
target
quarterback.
in dynasty drafts for you? Are you
Dynasty Superflex. I mean, if you have that top pick, you're gonna take him for sure. If not
super flex? You take him over B. I was gonna say I still feel like he's
Bijan. I mean,
102 is the highest I would see Richardson going. I was targeting him, middle first round, but my league's not super flex.
yeah,
He actually ended up, believe it or not, sliding to the second. Because most people, I mean, it's not super flex, it's 12 teams, so most people's quarterback situations are pretty sewn up. I would have taken him. I had the 108, and I was trying to trade so that I could have 107 and 108. I was going to take him and Kincaid back to back, but I ended up not pulling trigger, just taking Kincaid at 108, and he almost fell to me. I had 203. He almost fell to me. So I think Richardson, he's gonna go all over the place. I like you said, super flex, forget about it. Top 3 pick, top 4 pick.
One pure quarterback, I could see him being a first round or 2. It just depends on what you see.
Yeah, and I love the quarterbacks this year. Young, Stroud. Levis is I'm a little lukewarm on. Just given draft capital and given his landing spot. I think that could eventually be a great spot for him, but I'm a little lukewarm on him based upon the fact that he slid so far and there's all these concerns, and he's got a clear obstacle in Ryan Tannehill right now and Malik Willis, JK. But anyways, man, yeah, no, I feel like that's a solid place to wrap up legit headline number 2.
Yeah.
Mr. Anthony, do you want to take us to legit headline number 3? Wide receiver Jahan Dotson for the Washington Commanders is being considered by many a threat to be a 2023 breakout player. ESPN fantasy expert Tristan Cockcroft identified Dotson as a potential breakout, noting that he finished his rookie year as a top 20 receiver in fantasy. Over the final 5 games of the season, Dotson caught 21 passes for 344 yards at almost 17 yards a catch and 3 touchdowns. That's pretty dope, man. He's figuring to play a major role in a new offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy, who will model elements of the Commander scheme after the Chiefs' high-flying offense. Dotson's been a big-time playmaker in his career, especially in college at Penn State, catching 91 passes for 1,182 yards and 12 touchdowns over 12 games in 2021. That's music to Commanders fans' ears now because they have Terry McLaurin, and he's the 1A, right? He's the signed, sealed, delivered 1A, could be a top 10 receiver in the league if he had a competent quarterback. But Dotson as a wide receiver too, Jimmy Ray, are you drinking the Kool-Aid?
Yeah, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit. I think a couple things have to pan out. Obviously, Eric Bieniemy, I mean, that's a big improvement on what they've had in the past. But, I mean, their quarterback situation also kind of has to improve because if you think Sam Howell is not going to necessarily hit the mark, I don't think it's in the cards for a breakout year if he can't sustain a couple different wide receivers. But we saw some good things out of Sam Howell. He made some awesome throws to Terry towards the end of last season, and I could definitely and I think Jahan Dotson definitely has the potential. I mean, 500 yards, 7 touchdowns last year. I can definitely see it happen for him. But I mean, the offensive scheme's there. The quarterback, could we see Jacoby Brissett at some point this year? Maybe, but Yeah, I mean Sam Howell's doing a good job. Yeah, Armand.
Yeah.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, Armand in the chat, Dotson breaking out means Howell is doing a good job. You could assume that, correlation is an interesting thing though. Correlation and causation aren't necessarily synonymous. And
Mm-hmm.
Jacoby Brissett did support Amari Cooper when he was having his most productive fantasy days of the season last year. Watson came in, a lot of people thought, oh, Cooper to the moon, and it was kind of not the case. So it'll be very interesting to see if that's the case with Howell, because we already know he's going to force feed Terry McLaurin, as he should. Terry McLaurin should be targeted as a wide receiver one. He's, like I said, he's got top 10 potential, but
Yeah.
Dodson coming in, we've been saying on this show, one great wide receiver is not enough. You need two.
Mm-hmm.
If Dodson can be great, then that's something special for the Commanders offense, given that they have Brian Robinson, they have Antonio Gibson. If we see them up their weapon game a little bit, up their line, that could be a huge catalyst for them taking a step forward as an organization this offseason.
Yeah. I mean, you saw the Eagles last year making the Super Bowl, and once they got AJ Brown, they had AJ Brown, they had Devontae Smith. Yeah. I mean, that was a dynamic duo right there. It takes some like alleviates kind of the responsibilities of the wide receiver one a little bit when you have a wide receiver two to look at as well. I mean, the corners are moving around all the time anyways, but kind of
dude, I'm super glad. Yeah, I'm super glad you bring that up, because I don't think a lot of people had Smith as highly as they did until I think he proved that and so if let's just say Jahan Dotson takes a similar leap that Devontae Smith took, and Terry McLaurin is finally being supported and targeted like a wide receiver one, the way AJ Brown was, and then boom, you have your own 1-2 punch. You have your own, Chase Higgins, your own Brown Smith. I'm waiting for my Buffalo Bills to do that, Jimmy Ray, because I think the lack of support from Gabe Davis really hurt Stephon Diggs in the long run last season.
Yeah, I wonder what wide receivers are available for trade. Who do you think?
Hey, dude. Can you not, please?
I think that's one of our topics coming up, man.
I'm so sick of. Oh, I wasn't sure if you were making this a DeAndre Hopkins thing or not.
Oh, who are you talking about? Maybe.
Wow, it was a DeAndre Hopkins thing. That segues very nicely. What a beautiful artistic moment on this show. There's a rumor that the Cardinals are willing to now pay DeAndre Hopkins his full 2023 salary. This insight is coming from Albert Breer, who expects DeAndre Hopkins to return to the Cardinals for $19.45 million. Jimmy, a failing team, a team many people are considering to be threatening for the first overall pick in the draft, are going to pay a wide receiver who's 30 years old $20 million to catch passes from who? David Blau?
Yeah, maybe. Why not?
Jimmy, buddy. Other teams like the Chiefs and Bills were interested in acquiring Hopkins, but only at a reduced rate, and I think that's very responsible. The Cardinals should have a formidable receiving unit in 2023 with Hopkins, Hollywood Brown, Rondale Moore, Greg Dortch, and newly acquired rookie third-rounder Michael Wilson. I just don't know, Jimmy. I can't see it myself.
Okay.
And computer me can't see it either. I just don't.
No. AI.
I can't fathom it.
Is that AI Kevin right now?
It's AI Kevin. Yeah. It's
wow.
Yeah. He goes by KI.
Wow. Okay. Maybe he can be your co-host sometime.
He doesn't. He just got a very, very weak vocabulary, though. He only knows 2 words.
That's okay. He uses them in different tones. It's fine.
Right. Let's pitch him up, pitch him down. No, I'm just. I just don't like this, Jimmy. I don't like this for the Cardinals. I loved what they did in the draft. My Cards on the Table series for the Legit Football TikTok, I had them as one of my 3 draft winners, given the fact that they acquired an absurd amount of draft capital. Armand says, I'm AI Armand. Well, dude, I mean, if you're an AI, then that kind of hurts me a little bit. Me and Jimmy and Anthony were just saying in the pre-chat how fond we were of you. So if you were not even real, it would be really confusing, and my emotions would be very thrown off. But yeah, what do you think, Jimmy? That's not organizationally, that's not smart, right?
If this was like Deal or No Deal and I had a button and I was like, press the button if you believe what they're saying, I would close that box immediately, because I'm not buying it. Yeah.
they're fraudulent to you. They're
I'm
lying.
I don't see a way that if they get kind of the draft capital, like an offer that they want, that they would pass up something like that and be willing. I feel like this is some sort of smoke screen. We're like, you know what? We're willing to wait. We're willing to wait on the right offer. I feel like that's
Yeah.
what it is. Because I mean, I just don't see a reason for them to do that. Honestly.
Yeah, and we saw it. He had a video where he came out on like Instagram or something, and he was like, "Oh, I'm staying in Arizona. I don't know why y'all ever thought I was gonna leave or
Hmm.
something like that." I don't remember the exact quote, but I was obviously that crushed me in my soul because you know how badly I want him in a Bills
Hmm.
uniform. I mean, you already added Kincaid. You bring in Nuke, it's another level. If he goes to Kansas City, they solidify themselves as Super Bowl favorites. They probably already are. But if he goes to Kansas City, I mean, I might forfeit the I might boycott the league. I might not
Yeah.
watch any games. It would be very KD to the Warriors esque. The rich getting
Yeah.
richer,
Yeah,
but
I just don't see a situation where they wouldn't necessarily trade him. It's not anything against DeAndre Hopkins. I feel like he deserves some draft capital for that. But yeah, I feel like it's in this market it might be a little difficult to get the draft capital you want, especially with that salary. So obviously they'll have to take some part of it if they want to trade him for the right price. But with the quarterback situation looming and all sorts of things happening with the Cardinals, I just don't
yeah,
see this as a
I mean,
focal
think about
point.
it
But
too.
we'll see.
You're keeping your young guys off the field at that point. I mean, Rondale Moore is only
Mhm.
in his going into his third year, and he was so highly sought after, and he has shown flashes in the league, but he hasn't really put together a stretch of games where, and maybe consistency will be that for them. And or maybe they're tanking and maybe you let Rondale Moore run a 17 game schedule and see what he's got, see who he is. I mean, I love Dortch. I think he's a good slot. Um, and yeah, Hollywood Brown I think he definitely can be a 1B, but you don't need a 30-year-old $20 million 1A when you're contending for the first overall pick. It's just, to me,
No.
it would be respectfully, it would be asinine. That's the only word
Yeah.
I can think of.
We shall see.
Yeah. And Armand in chat, I believe D Hop gets traded in November by the deadline. That's interesting. Yeah. If a contending team loses a guy to an injury, if there's just some sort of a deal that needs to happen, yeah, I could definitely see it happening in mid-season. I hope that was the real Armand though, because I did just give him a shout out, and I don't know if the AI Armand has feelings or not. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, a fantastic day of legit headlines before our. Is this the new main topic
Way
music?
too early NFL Honors Awards.
Oh,
Presented
wow.
by Legit Football.
Ladies and gentlemen, Anthony Weiner has had a triple-double 40-point game
Whoa.
on the podcast today.
He's
From the
James
laser
Harden
sound
out there.
effects right? Exactly. Game
Devin
winners
Booker, not missing.
abound. Fantastic introduction to the main topic. We got way too early NFL awards predictions, and this is a fantastic idea because you can always do a way too early, a too early, a slightly too early, and a just right timing predictions for these, and it's fun. I'm really excited, Jimmy. What about you?
Yeah, I'm stoked. Obviously, I mean, awards, you don't really have any clue what happens, but I love like highlighting some players that I think
Yeah.
could be good this season because we're kind of in that scope of the season. We have a long span until kind of training camp starts, preseason
Yep.
starts. So this
Yep.
is, and the roster is going to start getting kind of put
Yep.
together more, and we'll see. I think
Yep.
there's going to be a big cut now at the end
Yeah.
of the preseason, which we'll probably get into closer to the
Yeah.
season. That'll be insane. So we
Oh,
won't really know
dude,
what's happening until it's go time.
I cannot wait, dude. And yeah, we're way away from the dog days of NFL news,
Mhm.
the dog days of content creation. But we have some Hall of Fame debates, we have some quarterback rankings debates. I would love to chat any sort of fun NFL topics that our listeners throw our way. But right now, it's way too early prediction time, and I
Let's
don't
do
know
it.
if Anthony has a set order for how he wants to attack this. We got sound man extraordinaire on the case. So if
I
is
think I'm
Jimmy kicking
starting.
us off?
Absolutely.
All right, Jimmy, you ready?
I think so.
Kick us off, brother.
All right. So I think we're starting with defensive rookie of the year. Is that correct?
That works for me. Let's get it.
Correct. I have Christian Gonzalez.
Oh, oh, the
Look at that
photo.
award. Whoa.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are not watching the live, then
love
you
that
are missing
picture.
out. We have
You have to
the
miss
handsome
out.
Jimmy Ray handing a trophy to Christian Gonzalez in maybe the best Photoshop I've ever seen myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyways,
so-
yeah, Christian Gonzalez. I mean, he's going to have a fire under him going at the, I believe, 15th pick with the Patriots. The Bill Belichick defensive-minded coach, I think he could definitely kind of bring him to fruition and kind of get a Sauce Gardner type of production out of him, get his hands on the ball. I mean, it's their first time drafting a quarterback in the first round since Devin McCourty in 2010. So obviously Bill Belichick has to like him. And I think he has the versatility. I think he has the hands, and I think he has the awareness to kind of make plays on the ball. Get some production this year. Right now, I think he'll make some definitely an impact with the Patriots this year. So congrats to him for winning it.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I mean, congrats, Gonzalez. Yeah, I mean, in another, we're gonna have some Marvel timeline splitting happening right now because in my timeline I have a different defensive rookie of the year.
Oh,
Gonzalez did cross my mind. He was probably in my top 3 to 5 contenders.
Nice.
But I had to go with my boy Devin Witherspoon for the Seattle Seahawks.
Same position.
What a photo! Oh my goodness. That's what I look like? Jeez.
Take that off. Take that off.
Yeah, please. Oh, Jimmy.
It's beautiful.
I gotta go with Devin Witherspoon. I'm gonna quote the great Jimmy Ray from our draft episode. Legion of Boom days are back. And if any of these guys are in a position to succeed, it's Devin Witherspoon. He's gonna step up and not have to shoulder the burden right away of all the toughest. He'll probably draw the toughest assignments because of how fundamentally sound he is, how physical he is. But, we're looking at a team that has Tariq Woolen, a team that brought in other defensive studs to take off the pressure. I'm super stoked for Devin Witherspoon, and I'm super stoked to see what he does in Seattle as their new CB1.
Yeah, I think what drew me away from picking him, because he was also on my radar, was the fact that they had Tariq Woolen there and kind of a lot of defensive young guys already. But I could definitely see him making his impact. I mean, he was drafted that high for a reason.
I mean, it could negate, right? But it also could add to, because less of the pressure is going to be on his shoulders. He's going to be able to play freer.
Yeah.
The Patriots, I know a lot of people like Jonathan Jones, but the Patriots corners have been looking like barbecue chicken these last couple of years, man. They really have. They've been toasted, posted, and served up on a silver platter, it feels.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't personally love anybody that they have. I mean, they got that dude. I like that dude, Marcus Jones, but he's really more of a return specialist than he is an effective cover corner. So Gonzalez is going to have a lot of pressure, I think. Might work out. He's got the pedigree for it.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Matt Judon on the defensive line might be able to help a little bit, kind of get some pressure.
I love Matt Judon.
Yeah, Matt Judon.
I was so angry that year offseason when he signed with New England because I wanted him to come to Buffalo. And now every time he sacks Josh Allen with those red sleeves and that wipe the nose celebration, dude, he is a dog.
He is a dog.
That's a good point. That's I like that as like a feather in Gonzalez's cap. There's gonna be at least one pick by Gonzalez that was forced by we got Armand's prediction here. Defensive rookie of the year prediction from Armand. Myles Murphy for Cincinnati. I could see it.
Yeah, I could see it.
He's one of the lower upside edges in the, well, maybe not upside, but he was sought after in the later first round. He wasn't looked at with those early first round picks, Tyree Wilson, and my runner up was Will Anderson. I think Will Anderson has the potential to do really great things.
Yeah, Will Anderson.
I think D'Amico Ryans is going to coach the hell out of that team. So I'm definitely got my eye on him.
Yeah, Tyree Wilson with the Raiders. I think he's a strong possibility as well.
Yeah, and the temperature felt like it kind of cooled on Wilson a little bit after the draft. I haven't really seen as much enthusiasm about him as a prospect, and I'm a little shocked about that. I think Wilson's going to silence a lot of haters this season for sure.
Yeah, and then we have Jalen Carter, who I think is in kind of a crowded defense already.
Yeah, it'll be tough for him to make an impact. Yeah, next to the other Georgia, Jordan Davis.
Jordan Davis, Brandon Graham.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all sorts of guys. This cornerback.
Fletcher Cox is still there, I think.
Yeah, there's Nolan Smith now there too. I mean,
and Any of them could step up. Hassan Reddick. Oh my God, we didn't even name all the names, Jimmy.
Josh
That
Sweat. I
team.
mean, come on. I mean, they had 4 guys have 10+ sacks last year, I
That
believe,
team
right?
is just
I mean, come
so
on.
nuts. That team is
Yeah.
wow, and they're freaking getting better. Shout out to Howie Roseman. This is our weekly Howie Roseman shout out. Adrian's not here to confess his love, but I believe Adrian has a ring that he was trying to get to Howie. I'm not sure what that's for, but we'll see. Adrian might be proposing. Anyways, are we doing OROY next, boys? Here we go. Are we starting off with Jimmy Ray again? Why don't you dive in?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's see. Who did I pick? Oh, Anthony Richardson. We already kind of talked about him. I'm gonna go Anthony Richardson. Congrats to my guy. I think he has the opportunity to.
Jimmy Ray?
What was that?
Do I look like you with this pose? Do I look like you?
I can't even see. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yep. Absolutely.
Nailing it. Okay.
Yeah.
Talk me through it. I mean, feel free to go into a little more detail about why.
I mean, I think if he can be decent in the air, I mean, the thing is, I think his run game, his ability to make marks across the field could definitely put him in position to kind of show out over the other quarterbacks, especially with the fact that I think he could be a week 1 starter. Whereas, I mean, obviously, I think CJ Stroud and Bryce Young could be that too, but I think kind of his run game kind of changes the game, and I think they have the weapons to kind of give him some help. And I think if he limits his mistakes, I think it's a strong possibility. I'll say that. I don't know if he'll be my pick right before the season, but right now I'm fired up. So I think
Bijan I
love it. Obviously has a great mindset as well. There's a lot of guys on that team, the other quarterbacks, but I had to go with my hometown hero right now. So
if he puts it together with accuracy and mentally as a rookie, this is absolutely possible. I don't see a world where he doesn't rush for close to 1,000 yards, to be completely honest with you. Like, I just don't see a world with his athleticism.
That'd be tough.
That would be tough for him not to, right? I feel like it's easy. I feel like it's gonna be. If that's a Vegas bet right now, I'm thinking about hammering that because that's. I mean, he'd have to not get benched. He'd have to put it together, like I said, mentally and with his accuracy to stay on the field. But I don't know, man. I'm a believer. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. Armand's offensive rookie of the year before I give mine, because it is different than mine and it's different than Anthony's, is Jordan Addison from Minnesota, and I like that pick. Yeah. Kirk's gonna be slinging the ball a lot this year. They don't have much of a running game at all. And J. Jeff is gonna take a lot of pressure off Addison. Addison's gonna have a lot of opportunities to exploit single coverage, which is why they brought him in the first place. So I love the pick of Addison, Armand. Shout out to you as always. For me, without further ado, my winner for offensive rookie of the year is going to be the chalkiest chalk pick of all time, Bijan Robinson. I just don't see a world where he doesn't absolutely set the NFL on fire with Desmond Ridder being the main focal point of that offense. We saw Algier get 1,000 yards and not a crazy amount of work. And you know, they only got better. They're only going to be better. I mean, this is Brian's offseason darling team. And Bijan was the crown jewel of the draft, and he was the crown jewel of many fantasy drafts. And I'm absolutely elated for being the only one who was calling my shot this early. I'm gonna get to dunk on you so hard, Jimmy. No, I think it's like I said, I think it's chalky. I think it's the obvious pick, and I'm not mad at it. That's like what I'm going with. Like I'm confident in this one just based on volume, based on upside. I could see 1,200 rushing yards, double-digit touchdowns, 40 receptions, no question. I definitely. Yeah,
I'm kind of banking on the fact that, you know, quarterbacks are looked at more kind of sought after for awards too. And I think if they could improve in terms of the win-loss record, I feel like that's put on the quarterback for sure a lot more. But Bijan Robinson, I mean, he was my 1B, so it's not a bad pick. I don't think Bijan Robinson the 1-1 in every single fantasy draft right now. I don't think that's a bad pick, Kevin. I don't think you can be hated on for that.
I appreciate that, man.
But I think you're good.
My runner-up was Bryce Young. And I think Bryce Young's going to have a good season. I would put CJ Stroud in that conversation. I think any of those quarterbacks have a chance to win this award. I really do. I think that's goes without question. You said it yourself. The quarterback gets looked at favorably. Kenny Pickett was in the running for freaking offensive rookie of the year last year. Freaking Brock Purdy got votes. after
Sean
playing
Clifford
4
could win
games.
it. Who knows? Sorry.
Max Dugan. No.
Yeah, Max Duggan, Stetson
All right, we're
Bennett. I mean,
killing
they're all
it.
quarterbacks.
Just another day in paradise on the Legit Football NFL podcast.
Yeah,
Ladies and
absolutely.
gentlemen, on to our next award. Defensive Player of the
Player
Year. Jimmy, kick us off.
Yeah, this guy that I have, he's been second the last 2 years. I think it's his time to shine. Cowboys edge rusher, linebacker, Micah Parsons. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I like it. It's chalk.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those picks where it's like, it's his time to shine. And I mean, he's a great defensive guy. He follows me on Twitter. That's probably why I picked him.
Oh
Big
wow,
shout out. Yeah, so I mean, not to brag, but he's a big Twitter guy, so I've got to pick
dude, you
him.
better just go ham on sharing positive stats about Micah Parsons so he retweets you.
Oh, absolutely.
Dude,
But I mean,
just
there's
go
so many positive stats about him, you know.
Dude, oh yeah, he's a stud. He's
Yeah,
one of the best players.
last season I think he had probably the most. He definitely had the most like games with 2+ sacks easily. I think
Yeah.
he might have broken a record for that. I'm not sure. But the
I
thing
heard
was,
a rumor he was moving full time to edge. Is that true?
I'm not sure, but I think that would be pretty beneficial. So we'll kind of have to wait and see. But I mean, last year he had like games with 2+ sack, like 2 sacks, and then 0 sacks, 2 sacks. Like all his games, he had like 13 sacks. I think he had 6 games with 2+ sacks. So there were a lot of games where like once he got to you once, you better watch out because he's going to get to you again. And hopefully this year he kind of, I mean, 13 sacks is great, but kind of go higher, hit that kind of franchise. If he goes to full time to edge rusher, I could definitely see him winning Defensive Player of the Year.
Same, dude.
Easily. But there's a lot of guys around him.
He was absolutely the first place my brain went to, but I was like, let me push myself a little bit to like think outside the box, just from a creative standpoint. But obviously, I went chalk for last pick, so we're gonna have chalk. We're both gonna have chalk at times. But you know what? Before I read Armand's pick, because I would love to read Armand's pick because he's the GOAT, I have to read my own pick because Armand and I have the same pick. I'm going with Sauce Gardner for the New York Jets as my Defensive Player of the Year. This is a hot take, I think. Look, corners that are locked down, they don't always get the shine that they deserve because you need you need spark plays to win this award. And Trayvon Diggs had like 11 picks or something a couple years ago, and I don't think he won it. Correct?
No, he didn't
that year. And a lot of people will say, oh, he gave up X amount of yards, and that's fair. He got targeted. There was a regression to the mean from Trayvon Diggs last season, and he's still a great corner, still elite corner. But my Sauce Gardner pick is based strictly on the fact that I think Sauce Gardner's going to lock up receivers all year. I think he's going to get 5+ interceptions. I think he's going to change games. And, again, regression, I have to acknowledge this. Regression to the mean is possible. Sauce Gardner either becomes Darrelle Revis this year or he becomes a second or third year Trayvon Diggs with a little bit of regression.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm not at all, I'm more leaning that I think he's going to take the NFL by storm again and establish himself as a top 3 corner. I think the only area of concern is, does he start getting called differently because of his reputation?
Mm-hmm.
There's that word. He has a reputation for being grabby, and we saw that a lot. And I'll point to his highlight reels. I'll show you maybe 30% of the highlight breakups you'll see from Sauce are actually just pass interference or defensive holding. So one great way to be great in the NFL is to know the rules so you can bend them to your favor. And Sauce did that last year. I mean, watch the play right after Josh tore his UCL. He threw one of the longest recorded passes in NFL history to Gabe Davis, and he threw it in a bucket, actually, believe it or not. And Sauce broke it up, and he was absolutely early. But, I mean, he got all the credit in the world for making a great play. I mean, but that's going to happen all year. So if he starts getting called differently, this is not going to happen. Armand, see, now I'm just he says this is why K Fox is the host now. I love you, K Fox. I love you too, Armand, and I appreciate you saying that. I just want to show some love where love is due, man. Sauce Gardner is fantastic. Jimmy, what are your thoughts on Sauce Gardner?
I mean, wide receivers were definitely getting lost in the sauce last year, so I don't see I mean, come on now.
He did not.
Come on now.
He set
I
it
mean,
on
that's.
fire.
But seriously, I think he's a great cornerback. I think he's going to be a top cornerback for years to come. Will he win Defensive Player of the Year? I think that's kind of the toughest kind of mark to hit, especially if a defensive back. And I think you put yourself in like kind of the top tier of defensive backs all time if you win Defensive Player of the Year.
I think so too.
Stephon Gilmore 2019, Troy Polamalu 2010, Charles Woodson 2009, Bob Sanders, Ed Reed. I mean, these
Bob
guys.
Sanders. I love Ed Reed.
These are the guys that have Deion Sanders. I mean, Rod Woodson. You're going to be a Hall of Famer basically if you win Defensive Player of the Year as a defensive back.
Yeah,
I mean,
theoretically.
that's what it seems like if you look back at that's a crazy list.
Dude, can I just say this? This is just a little sidebar here because we're absolutely flying through the show today. Sidebar. We grew up, Jimmy. I'm assuming I'm not gonna ask you your age on the podcast, but I'm assuming you were around the same age as me. We grew up with the best safeties. We were absolutely spoiled. Watch it. Like I remember I started watching football full time in 2004. I was like a child. Yeah. And I just feel like we were spoiled with Troy Polamalu, Ed Reed, Bob Sanders, Sean Taylor, RIP. Just some of the absolute goats of safety play was like during that time. Yeah,
I mean Bob Sanders, man. I grew up watching
John
him.
Lynch.
Yeah, he could have been great. Defensive Player of the Year. He was going crazy for a little while, but
yeah, Bob Sanders, he did kind of fall off a cliff a little bit, but he burned bright. Let me tell you, safety is one of the most. It's one of the best positions in the league. It deserves more love. I can't believe safeties are in a regression market right now. I hate that. Hopefully the league figures their stuff out because Buffalo's defense isn't Buffalo's defense without Hyde and Poyer. They've been top 5 DVOA for 6 years, for a long time now, and I just attribute 85% of it to them, honestly.
Yeah.
But that's enough about me gushing over my love of the safety position. It's time for our next award. OPOY, Offensive Player of the Year. Jimmy Ray, give me the chalk pick.
This might be a similar to pick, Yeah, I mean, this guy he got traded last year, right?
Oh,
yeah.
It's not a chalk pick.
Is it? It could be.
I don't think it's a chalk pick. I think the chalk pick plays for the Vikings.
Oh, okay. That's a great.
And he hits the gritty.
He won it last year, didn't he?
I think he did, and I think he's the favorite, but I think you and I are gonna have the same one.
Christian McCaffrey, my guy.
Anthony, you want to save us some time and hit my graphic too, and then we'll just have a shared gushing conversation.
That's awesome. Let's go.
Right?
Let's go.
Spoiler alert. Yeah. So Jimmy, why don't you tell us why Christian McCaffrey is your projected Offensive Player of the Year?
So my guy has spent half the time in Carolina. He had 3 touchdowns. He had a few hundred yards here and there. When he came to the 49ers, he had 10 touchdowns in 10 games. I mean, that's 10 games started. I mean, that's absolutely absurd. I think he could easily get back into his tier. He was 7th, I think, last year in voting, Offensive Player of the Year, 3rd in 2019. I think he could easily make a come up, especially with that offense. I think he's the guy. I think Deebo Samuel's awesome. I think Brandon Ayuk is awesome. George Kittle. I mean, there's a lot of guys, but I think Christian McCaffrey could get a strong workload. I think he could hit. There's a lot of chances for touchdowns in that offense. I mean, I could see him hitting close to the 20 touchdown marker again and getting close to that award and possibly hitting it, depending on how other players do.
Yeah, and this one, in my opinion, is entirely dependent on health. If this man plays 17 games, there's nobody who's going to smell his production. It's just, he is just such a freak athlete. Armand with Jamar Chase, not a bad pick. Definitely was in my contention. I thought about Steph Diggs as well. I think he needs more flowers, man. I think Steph Diggs needs more flowers, even with the love he gets in the commercials and the GQ and all that. I still don't think he gets the shine that he gets, that he deserves, I should say. But that's besides the point. We're talking about Christian McCaffrey. We're talking about Run CMC. He is he was made for the Shanahan offense. He's such a stud. Unfortunately, not the best quarterback, as we learned in the NFC Championship game. But, man, he's going to throw for a touchdown or two next year. You know it.
Yeah.
And he's going to catch 5 to 8, and he's going to run for probably 10. Yeah, I think you're right, Jimmy. I think he's going to get close to 20 touchdowns. And he's going to do what Christian McCaffrey does, which is move the football. He's going to eat up yards. He's going to make people miss, and he's going to score touchdowns. I don't know what else you want from us. We're giving you the top end analysis here. And yeah, J. Jeff is strong contender. Chase, Diggs, I think.
Yeah, listen, it's hard to hit 2 years in a row. So that's why I was kind of going with people that haven't won it.
Yeah, I like that.
And Chris McCaffrey, I think I'm surprised. I'd be surprised if he ends his career without one of those under his belt. So.
He's got to stay healthy, you know, and
I know.
Maybe the SF backfield is going to be healthier for him than Carolina. I mean, it is technically, knock on wood. I know we have 49ers listeners to this podcast, but 49ers fans, I should say, it's like the injury. It's like the most cursed injury backfield I've ever seen in my life.
No. Look what
is it that field? Is it those lasers are the sounds of the turf monsters shooting their ACLs?
Gosh,
no, I know that was a little dark.
That's a visual, man. Get an animation on that.
I know. Please don't. Actually, no. That sounds trigger warning for anybody who's ever injured their ankle. Not fun. Same. Yeah, I think it's
every
rite of passage. Everybody's got to do it at some point. But yeah, no. So shout out to us. I mean, I like that we were lockstep on that one. I'm ready for the next one, but that was a good discussion. I mean, yeah, OPOY is an interesting.
Yeah, thanks for that. I think that's
an interesting one every year. Comeback player of the year, Jimmy Ray. You want to kick us off?
Easy for me. I mean, this guy could play one snap, and I think he wins it. I don't know if you made the same pick. Maybe you did.
I think Anthony already knows. I think Anthony's going to press the button twice in a row again.
Oh. Did you pick? All right.
CPOY, and then Anthony. Why don't you press the button again? Yeah, 100%. I mean, the story that rocked the NFL world last year had hardcore Bills fans, Bengals fans, NFL fans, humans just absolutely devastated and then elated when he snapped out of it. When he came to, Damar Hamlin is the clear-cut favorite for comeback player of the year, and I think that's chalk. Armand in the chat keeping it 1,000. He said Breece Hall. I think that's biased, but I respect you all the same, Armand. No, Damar Hamlin. That story was bigger than football, and it reminded me, about my human side, and it's so hard not to get worked up about football. I mean, dude, we all love it so much. It's all of our favorite passion is watching it, talking about it, cheering for it. And when it was that close to home and you see your quarterback crying and your receiver crying and, and you see the Bengals rallying and everybody, coming together in that moment and just being humans, it was such a beautiful thing. And when he snapped out of it, it's a beautiful thing from a stories arc. I mean, obviously the moment was sheer devastation and torture, but to see I'll never forget the morning I woke up and I saw the tweet that said like, Damar Hamlin asked who won the game. That was like the most, like I'm not even kidding, Jimmy. I sobbed.
Yeah.
Just because member of Bills Mafia, unabashed, table breaker over here. I had a tough couple of days, man. It was really tough thinking about football.
Yeah, I mean that day I was going into Bills Bengals, right? Towards the end of the season. It's one of the greatest games.
Should have been one of the biggest games.
One of the most hyped games ever. I was ready to watch football, and then after that happened, I was like, man, I don't want to watch anything right now. Same. I just want to sit here and think through kind of what this means, for the football world and for my world as a whole, and like how you can live better after seeing something like that. Because we all kind of realize how fragile life is. But I mean, when you come to terms with that, when you see that in person with like a 23-year-old, I don't know how old he is, making
he was young,
So
I appreciate that perspective, Jimmy. Yeah, you really summed it up really nicely, and I think that's why he's chalk for comeback player of the year. He takes a snap, it's his award in my opinion. I mean, dude came back from something a lot worse than I ever thought I'd ever see on a football field, and it's very humbling.
It's gonna be hard for us to like watch him take a snap. Right?
I'm definitely a little nervous.
Like that first tackle or something. If something happens, like whatever happens, but for him to get back on the football field after that, That's tough. You know.
It'd be incredible. It would be an incredible display of resilience. I mean, it's talked about in Bills media a lot because, these people are paid to talk about the team, and we're wondering like how effective is he going to be? That's the X's and O's of it, but nobody cares. Everybody wants this dude to come back and to play a snap. Everybody wants this dude to come back and play some football. That's obviously everybody's no, and for a while, everybody's focus was on life. Everybody's focus was on health, which was kind of refreshing. I seeing the donations pour in and seeing the support he got, it was very beautiful. It was very humbling, and I'm proud to announce my fantasy football league were big contributors to his charity. We everybody donated
Nice.
percentage of their winnings. Yeah, it was incredible, man. Yeah, and that was the good that came from the nightmare, and now we're back to football. Comeback player of the year, Damar Hamlin, chalk. Brees Hall, good luck. Run for 2,000 yards and maybe you got a shot, but I don't know. I'm looking for that one to be Damar. Coach of the year, Jimmy. Who do you got?
I'll take a little bit of like a risk here. I feel like Sean Payton has kind of a great road to success here.
Wow. I'm just a little surprised by that, to be honest with you.
I mean, if you look at their defense, I feel like their defense is good, right? I feel like that could make it easy for them, and they have the talent on offense. So I feel like if Sean Payton comes in and makes some vast improvement and get them to the playoffs, I feel like that's huge for the Broncos franchise as a whole with a new owner and stuff, I believe, as well. So I think Sean Payton could come in here and easily win it with the right mindset. But I think he has all the tools to make that happen, which is why I feel like it's a solid bet for me to make.
I love that. It's tough, man, because I think it's Russell Wilson dependent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Russell Wilson is, in my opinion, just a huge question mark going into next season. I mean, if he had shown at some point in the last 2 years a sliver of self-awareness, I would think this is more possibly, I would think that this was a more likely outcome. But there hasn't ever been a moment where he's like, yeah, I got to be better. I got to do better. I got to be a better leader. I got to this, that, or the third. He's just making Subway commercials and making TikToks. I'm just like, I'm all for everybody being their own person and everybody being an individual. And sometimes you do have to rise above the noise, and good for Russell for that, I guess. I mean, I'll give him credit where it's due. He's clearly got maybe some thick skin, I guess. I guess that's how I'll try to frame it positively. But I'm just waiting for him to be like, yeah, I was a bad leader. Yeah, I played horribly. Yeah, I'm ready to be better. And so until I see that, I'm not really. It's going to be tough for me to buy into the Broncos.
Yeah, that's completely fair. I'm buying low here. I'm buying.
Yeah, you are.
So yeah. I feel like I'm taking a little bit of a risk, but I also feel like Sean Payton's buying low as well. So if he can improve that.
Jarrett Stidham as their backup, and I like Jarrett Stidham myself. I mean, he could come in and maybe do as good of a job as Russell. I hate to say that about a potential future Hall of Famer, and I will own that. I do think Russell had it and could fumble it, but I like the pick. I like the Sean Payton pick. It's controversial but brave. We have again Armand making the same kind of call as Jimmy, buying low on Josh McDaniels, coach of the year. The odds on that, Armand, are probably pretty crazy. If you throw a buck on that, you might be able to win $1 million, man. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we'll see. My coach of the year is Sean McDermott of the Buffalo Bills.
There you go.
And, I think I can confidently say this and not be homery. I think everybody who follows football knows what a great head coach Sean McDermott is. I mean, he has improved vastly in his risk analysis, in his analytics following, in his game day decision-making, time management. He still has some areas to grow, and specifically, I think playoff aggression is the biggest one. I mean, in every single Buffalo Bills playoff loss from the last, Texans, Chiefs, Bengals, there are areas where he coached differently than he did during the regular season. And me, that has to do with why they lost those games. And so if McDermott, obviously these are regular season awards, so this is just me having a therapy session, and venting about my issues with McDermott. I think these are areas he can still improve, and he's I think the first person who would acknowledge that, and that's why I love him. But I think he's been in the top 3 for this award a handful of times in the last couple of years. So I think at some point, if the Bills just keep having outstanding regular season success, I mean, I'm talking 12 wins plus this upcoming season with a very difficult schedule, very difficult division. I personally foresee them 12-5, 13-4. I personally foresee them winning the AFC East again. I mean, I know a lot of people are going to pick the Jets and pick the Dolphins, but I think it's Buffalo's until someone takes it. And
Absolutely.
I think eventually he'll get a makeup call. You know, you take it to the hole 3 or 4 times in a row and the refs don't call it. And then, you know, there's a little soft contact and you've complained enough, you're going to get a whistle. I think eventually McDermott is going to get the makeup coach of the year call. I mean, he's been, look, it's time for us to stop, you know, taking for granted what he does. And I'm specifically talking to Bills Mafia right now, because you'd be surprised how many people call for his head still, just because the Bills haven't won a Super Bowl. But it's like, bro, that kind of organizational success is unprecedented for the Bills, not since the 90s. And it's not really happening across the league outside of Kansas City. And I'm sorry, he's not Andy Reid yet. But how did Andy Reid become Andy Reid? He went through a crazy stretch of losing in NFC championship games, 4 in a row that he went to. You know, I'm just on my soapbox right now, Jimmy.
No,
I'm sorry.
I'm just over here letting you cook, dude. You're
I mean,
right.
am I cooking? Am I cooking?
Yeah,
Is
John
this
McDermott could have won it easily a lot earlier than he did, and I feel like the time may have passed. But I feel like you said, that's gonna make up call for him.
Come on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been ascendant and he's been on the top of the mountain and he's still there. I mean, this is when teams take steps back. I mean, you know, everybody's, you know, after the Bills playoff loss, the narrative was Buffalo is they're the Rodgers-led Packers without a ring. And I just don't see that. I just don't see that myself. I think watch for organizational stability. Watch the ship stay course corrected. Watch the Bills win another East, and then give me my makeup call, man. I mean, there's always going to be a flashy, trendy name. Shane Steichen's a sleeper for this, by the way.
Yeah, I did think of him.
If the Colts win, if the Colts go to the playoffs, I think Steichen is going to catch votes. But
yeah, I believe we did. Bruce Arians and Chuck Pagano. I think Bruce Arians might have won something.
When
Pagano came out,
Pagano had
Andrew Luck was in, and we just went from 2-14 or whatever we were to skyrocketing, which I think is kind of a big part of the Coach of the Year candidate. Like the Brian Daboll this past year, he definitely
that's definitely part of it.
Team that didn't have a lot of firepower to begin with, and had a resurgence for the New York franchise for sure. Dan Campbell, shout out to him. Anthony, I know
totally.
Dan Campbell completely deserves it. They had a great year last year, and I think they're only going to go up from here. So I think you could buy it. I don't think it's buying low on the Lions right now, because last year I think it was buying low, but maybe buying like medium right now, because I'm ready for the Lions. Kind of ready for the Lions to make
I think
Campbell's awesome.
I think apart from the spotlight that Hard Knocks shined on the Lions organization, their play on the field spoke for itself last year. I mean, dude, if only they had just a semi-competent early stretch of the season last year. I mean, they were just abysmal in those early games. Like, that just cost them. And I know there were some close games and there was some this, that, and the third, but shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? I mean, this is the year for Campbell we've talked about this a lot on this show. This is the year for Campbell to prove that the Lions are for real and not just, you know, ascendant. They have to have ascendant. This has to be their year.
Yeah, I think Anthony.
Thank you, Anthony.
Yeah,
party time.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Right, we did not pick him.
No.
MVP, Jimmy Ray.
MVP. Listen, if you're Coach of the Year candidate, if he works out, you know who should win MVP? I think it's Joshua Allen. I mean, yeah.
Jimmy, a man after my own heart.
And I'm not saying this because you're here. You know, I think Patrick Mahomes is the easy pick here. I think that's kind of obvious. And I think Jalen Hurts had a great season last year. Do I think he can replicate it? Obviously not, because I'm picking Josh Allen. I think Jalen Hurts had his chance last year, and I think Josh Allen's going to take it over this year. He's been second and third. Kind of one of those picks again that, I mean, he's definitely one of the quarterbacks that will be in the discussion. He'll probably be top 5, probably top 3. And I think this is an easy bet to make, like Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, one of these guys, there's a solid chance could someone come out from the from the ground, from the roots, and spring up and grow and become something maybe. But Josh Allen, I mean, he's tall right now. He's a tall stock. He's a
That's
tall.
right.
I don't know, man. That's just kind of my thoughts there.
He's tall and he's stunting on him at the Kentucky Derby. I don't know if you saw that, but that man.
I don't think I saw.
You got to look up Josh Allen's offseason. Yo, this man. Okay, I think this is a football podcast, not a rumor podcast. I think he's newly single.
Oh no, yeah, we don't have to talk about that.
We don't have to talk about it. I'm just saying.
Okay,
but he's looking. He's growing his hair out. Long hair, Josh. He's
even
wearing
a bigger point to make for his MVP.
That's the real case. No,
he's got focus. He's
all the other points are, but he's got long hair now.
He's looking good. I see him. Yeah, I see him.
You see him? You Googled? Okay, dude.
He's sunglasses. I see him.
Oh my!
Dude, I see that suit.
Oh my God! What is that? Mint suit? Oh,
it's is it mint?
I think it's like
it
mint.
Is mint. I thought it was gray.
I absolutely love the pick, Jimmy, and I'd be lying if I said my heart and my head didn't want to pick Josh Allen, and he was going to be my pick. Like up until I got to thinking about it, and I thought, look, I'll be honest with you, Jimmy. I've picked Josh Allen as my preseason MVP for 3 straight years. Oh, no. 2020, 2021, and 2022, I had him as my preseason MVP every year, and he hasn't won one. And I'm not saying he's not going to. I definitely think he's got as good of a chance. He might be. Him and Mahomes and Joe, you're right. They're the chalk picks. I actually went out on a little bit of a limb here, and I picked the punter. No, I'm just kidding. I picked Jalen Hurts.
Okay, there we go.
Just because I think at this stage of his career trajectory, it's time for us to start looking at Jalen Hurts as he's not, like I said, with the Lions, he's no longer ascending. This is his year to have been ascended. And he is another level of talent. He's another level of, he was productive last year. The Eagles were 13-0 or 12-0 or something absurd like that in games that Hurts started before Minshew came in, or before the Niners knocked him off, and then he got hurt. Minshew came in, and they could have had unprecedented regular season success. They were a phantom holding call away from Hurts having a chance to win them the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So I think it's just time to look. I'm going to say it again. I love your pick of Josh Allen. I think with the addition of Kincaid, the bolstering of the offensive line, and the hopeful commitment to the run with James Cook, Damian Harris, Nyheim Hines, Latavius Murray, I really hope that this is the year that Josh Allen finally gets that makeup call of his own, because he could have been in 2020. He could have been in 2022. I hope this is the makeup call that I've been waiting for myself. But that being said, I like Jalen Hurts. I like A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. I like their offensive line. I like the tush push. I'm thinking this man could get, 15 to 20 rushing touchdowns and throw for 30. And like I said, eyelash from a Super Bowl title already. And yeah, let's hope he doesn't miss time again. And let's hope, I think Mahomes and Joe Burrow have just as, I think those are your top 4 candidates, very likely.
Yeah, I think Jalen Hurts is definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts, I wish he would have won it last year. I feel like he definitely deserved it. That team he has around him, I think, is obviously beneficial to his game, and I think if the Eagles will continue to do well, especially in the NFC, I think Jalen Hurts is the guy. I just feel like after last year, I'm not sure if he can kind of rise up that high again.
Right.
I think he definitely has a possibility. How can he improve? But you can also say about Josh Allen. So there's definitely a lot of.
That's been some of the main discourse around Josh is how can he. A lot of people are, waiting for the regression, but it's like at a certain point in time, you're great. I don't think Hurts is going to regress either. Yeah. Just keep ascending, and I don't think Hurts has any likelihood of regressing either. Armand's MVP prediction is Trevor Lawrence. He thinks that Calvin Ridley is the reason why.
Wow. Okay.
And that is my AI thoughts, and that is my real thoughts as well.
Taking a gamble.
Armand is just, Armand, if your face was on here and you were like, and somebody could screenshot and say, well, look at what an idiot this guy is, I would say that those picks are scary, but you're not. You can be as bold as you want in the comments.
I don't think Trevor Lawrence is that bad of a pick, honestly.
Oh no, it is one of those, again, like Josh McDaniels. It's one of those small investments, huge payoffs. So Armand, we applaud your bravery. I'll say that.
I mean, I think the Jaguars definitely have to like win the AFC South and kind of be dominant. But I mean, Trevor Lawrence took a leap last year, and I think he could take another leap this year. But yeah, it'll be
I
tough
love
with
the
how
pick.
many quarterbacks there are in the AFC.
It's a
but
sleeper pick. It's a sleeper
Yeah.
pick for sure.
throw
It's
$10 on it, man. I would.
throw 10, win a milli once again.
If I wasn't a Colts fan, I would consider it. But it'd be hard.
Yeah,
for me
that
to
would be
do
actually
that.
sacrilege.
Yeah,
You can't do that.
Yeah, that'd be weird. for me,
I'm
but
saying, Jimmy, I'm stoked that you had some Josh Allen love, man. That was cool.
I got you, man.
I'm
Yeah.
stoked, man. I'm gonna be riding that high all day, man.
Yeah. Why didn't you pick a
ladies
Colts
and
player
gentlemen,
or anything? What's
I
up with
know I
that?
should have picked JT, dude. What's wrong with me?
Next time.
Ladies and
Next
gentlemen,
time.
this was just a fantastic time. I had a ball. I know Jimmy Ray at NFL Stats had a ball. I hope Anthony had a ball. We have
Way
send-off
too
music.
early.
ladies and gentlemen.
NFL
Dang.
Honors Awards.
When is the
Presented
too early?
by Legit
When is the too early
Football.
rankings?
Too early, probably training camp range, maybe a little around training camp, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Couple
too
months.
early.
Yeah, we'll see. in a couple months.
Then the week before the season is perfect.
It's just early,
um,
and then we'll have the NFL
we-
award episode.
As always, we want to thank everybody for listening. I want to thank Anthony for a stellarly produced episode. Unreal production work. I want to thank NFL Stats Jimmy Ray for just always being my rock. You know, you're becoming my rock, Jimmy.
Hey, man.
Back
Same to
at
you. Same to
and
you.
heart.
Come on.
I
man.
want to thank the GOAT Armand for being bold in our comments, for bringing some juice, for bringing some heat. Hot takes, but like I said, Armand, you be that guy. You can be the shooter for Legit Football because you can take those risks, man. Go out on those limbs, man. Please, we love it. And I wouldn't change you for the world, Armand. I think that's gonna do it. I think I'm gonna start sending us off. But thank you guys for listening as always, and we hope you have a fantastic week.
Peace out, guys.